Hey sunshine! Welcome back to Dark Sunlight. This week I've got another bullet journal set up for you. I can hardly believe it's time to get started on December. But first, let's take a quick look at how November's coming along. First up, there's the full calendar and social trackers. Then my habit trackers that are now about halfway filled out. Then my faves and spotlight page with a few highlights already filled in. My first 2 weeklies. My next set of weeklies, and a blank page for the last week that I haven't quite set up just yet. And that brings us to a fresh page to start our December planning. On the right-hand side, I knew I wanted to draw a wreath of some sort, so I started by using a candle lid as a circle template. Then I knew I wanted a centered calendar underneath it, so I penciled that in as well. While I was still thinking about what I wanted to draw there, I jumped to the left-hand side and started working on the quote page that I knew I wanted to include there. I found this beautiful Yule quote that I thought was fitting because the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, so on that day we celebrate that from that point forward until the summer, the days are going to get longer. So the quote I chose to include is, "From out of the dark and cold, the light and hope return." I don't know about you, but I definitely suffer from seasonal depression during the dark winter months in Canada, so I wanted a little reminder that longer and brighter days will come again. After that, I flipped to my full calendar page and penciled in all the guidelines I'll need to draw out the calendar and social trackers with my pens later on. Because the shape of the boxes changes every month, I like to pencil in the space above the calendar so I know exactly how much room my title should take up. The next spread is going to be used for my habits and mood, which I switched around in my November setup and I really enjoyed the new layout, so I'm sticking with it again for this month. For the title, I chose to use the phrase better habits, mostly because I wanted it to take up the space across the top of the page, but I also thought it was a slightly more encouraging message than just a habit tracker. On the next spread, I'll be setting up my faves and memories pages as I always do. I think they'll probably be the most fun thing to flip back on when this bullet journal is finished. The last spread I'll set up today is my first weekly spread. This time I'll take up an entire page for the week and use a thin vertical layout so that each day can have its own column. Now it's time to go back and figure out what I actually wanted to draw on my cover page. I settled on sketching out some pretty winter-themed botanicals. Now that all the pencil lines are in, it's time for the fun part, cleaning everything up with my fine liners and adding pops of color with my gold Jelly Roll pen and dark olive Tombow dual brush pen. If you're ever curious about any of the pens or markers I use, I always list the links to everything I use in the description box. video is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you like what I do and you'd like to support me a little bit more, I would suggest checking out my Patreon. For just $2 a month, you'll get sneak peeks, behind-the-scenes access, and your name in the credits of every video. And for the next tier up, I include a lot more bonus content and printables. So if you're interested in supporting the Dark Sunlight channel, I would definitely go check out my Patreon. And thanks again to everyone who's currently supporting me. I really appreciate it. So before we get to planning, let's quickly flip through what the empty spreads look like. Now we can fill some things in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.